Clover breast lights the signal in the sky. Another Marvel master, it's that time. Brushstrokes bold, legends on the page. Award-winning visions, breaking out the frame. From oil and canvas to the house of ideas. Heroes look alive when Dan gets near them. Stars and stripes in that captain that glare. You don't just see the art, you feel a stare. 9 books deep in a legendary line. This one's got power, heart, and time. If you love Marvel, you know the plan. This is the art of Dan Dos Santos, man.
Started calling, don't sleep on the drop. 200 pages, let the colors pop. 9 by 12, hardcover shine. Marvel icons frozen in oil and time. Sign up now, hit notify. When it goes live, we rise and back it high.
From Captain Wolverine, heroes stand tall. Painted in power, Dan Dos Santos draws them all. Daredevil in shadow, kitty Pryde face clean. Wolverine's fury in a painter's dream. Masterpieces level, every stroke precise. You can see the craft, yeah, you can see the price. Disney, DC, Activision too. But Marvel hits different when the passion's true. Every page a spotlight, episode a win. Slipcase dreams and variant vibes. Signed copies waiting for the true believer's eyes. Prints on the wall, history in hand. This is the art of Dan Dos Santos.
Get started calling, don't sleep on the drop. 200 pages, let the colors pop. 9 by 12, hardcover shine. Marvel icons frozen in all the time. Sign up now, hit notify. When it goes live, we rise and back it high.
From Captain Wolverine, heroes stand tall. Painted in power, Dan Dos Santos draws them all. Get ready, countdown on the screen. Superhero hype told us what it means. This ain't just a book, it's a victory lap. For a modern master in the Marvel art map. Kickstarter calling, answer the call. For collectors, creators, and fans of it all. Hardcover legends, every page a stand. For the Marvel art shaped by a master's hand. Oil and heroes, courage and soul. This one belongs in your Marvel home. When the campaign drops, stand up and say, Dan Dos Santos, yeah, back that night.
Notify me now, let the countdown start. Long live the heroes in the art.
Aloha! It's Jason from Hawaii. Welcome to a very special edition of the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast. In this episode, I will be interviewing comic book cover artist and illustrator Dan Dos Santos. He is here to promote his new book, The Marvel Art of Dan Dos Santos. Now, this is a Kickstarter from Clover Press. This is the 9th book in this stunning series. The Marvel art of, now this hardcover series started back in 2023 and has spotlighted selected artists from David Mack, Russell Dodderman, Michael Turner, and a friend of the podcast, David Nakayama. Now, this Kickstarter launches on January 8th, 2026. Now, listeners, this is the perfect time to, if you have, got money as a Christmas gift, this is the perfect, this is one way to treat your guys self. All right. So I'm going to welcome Dan. Dan, welcome to the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jason. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
No, thank you very much. And thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to interview. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And actually, you're my first one to get this
All right. So, Dan, I'm going to be honest with you. So correct me if I get any of your information wrong. Feel free, and if I get some of the Kickstarter information wrong, just please feel free to correct me.
No problem.
Okay. So now I just want to give some background information on Dan. I got this information off his website. Now, he is well known for his colorful oil paintings. His work spans a variety of genres, including book covers, comics, advertising, film, video games, and the 2022 Marvel Masterpiece card set. He is a Rhodes Family Scholar winner, a 7-time Hugo Award nominee for Best Artist, the Jack Gaham Award winner, the Chelsea Award winner, and has received both gold and silver medals from Spectrum, the best in contemporary fantastic arts. Dan, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. Those are maybe the highlights. But yeah, it's I've been at this a minute. I've been doing mostly book covers for over 20 years.
Mhm.
So if people know my work, it's probably from that.
I'm gonna say yes because I'm gonna, because it's like I've seen some of your stunning covers, you know, and and also too, correct me if I'm wrong because you for Dark Horse you did comic book covers for was it the Firefly, the Serenity series, correct?
Yep, I've done quite a few comic book covers in my time. A lot of my focus and my passion revolves around science fiction fantasy novels, but
Mhm.
I grew up on comics, and so whenever those comic runs come along, I would try to do them. So I've done runs for Fables, I've done runs for Serenity,
Mhm.
even a little on Star Wars, quite a bit.
Oh, here, like you said, we're going to improv a little bit because since you've done some work in film, I'm going to throw this out. In 2035, you'll be the Academy Award winner for art director in Star Wars, um, The Return of the Last Jedi, when the Force had awakened again.
They've already got some pretty solid art directors on Lucas's team.
No, but come on, you got to remember some of these guys are going to start moving on. They're going to go, we need to, they're going to call you, they're going to call you one day.
I hope they don't move on too quick. Many are friends.
Oh, okay, all right, but don't move on. But yeah, I'm just teasing. I'm just
I
joking.
know.
Okay. Now, before I continue, I want to give a shout out to Hannah Bahedri of Superfan Promotions. Hannah, thank you very much for all your hard work behind the scenes and for setting up this interview. Dan, I'm going to ask, would you like to add anything to us?
Ditto. Thanks for the hard work. I mean, this is all, I'm really excited to be working with Clover Press, and Hannah's part of that team
Mhm.
promoting them and stuff like that. I really couldn't ask for better hands to be in.
Yes. Oh, thank you very much. Now, listeners, I got some of my information from these podcasts, the YouTube podcast, and I hope I got the name of the YouTube podcast correct. Spidey Hits, Marvel Cards and Collectibles. Now, that interview Dan did was dated June 22nd of 2023. And the audio podcast, I love this one because he kind of went more into your a little bit more into your history of how you got into, how you became a painter, an artist, and also the your process work. Not much about the comic stuff, but that was a very good interview. And the audio podcast I'm talking about is Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. Now that was episode 129. That's dated June 20th, 2021. Now, listeners, if you guys get a chance, please check out those great interviews because like I said, that the writers and illustrators on podcast, that was a very good interview. That was really good.
Oh,
Right.
thanks. Well, it's a good interviewer.
All right. Now, where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, I'm pretty active online. Facebook and Instagram are probably my main ones. And I think on Instagram, I'm Dan Dos Santos underscore art or
Mhm.
something pretty close. But all
Yeah.
my links can be found on my website, which is just dandosantos.com. And I'm pretty good about keeping that up to date.
Okay. All right. So I am going to, let's see. I want to just for listeners, I just because we before we jumped on, I know you talked about, comics and your love of comics. Um, for the listeners, what's your comic book origin story?
Oh, comic books were my introduction to art, honestly. I grew up in an immigrant family, so I wasn't really exposed to a lot of, the typical avenues that somebody might. We didn't have American books in the house. We didn't have American music, so I wasn't seeing cool album cover art. I wasn't seeing Lord of the
Mhm.
Rings art or anything. My exposure to fine art was the corner store down the street, and whatever comics or cards they had on the counter, that was it. So if you asked 13-year-old Dan what he wanted to do, it was I wanted to draw like Jim Lee. I wanted to I wanted to draw like Todd McFarlane. That was about it.
I'm just going off the cuff because you mentioned like, you weren't exposed to like album covers, early on. I'm just asking, um, first off, you haven't done any in your professional work, you haven't done any cover record albums covers have you? I mean, I know it's kind of a small, yeah, it's growing small, but
I bet I've done one or two. Yeah, yeah, I have. Yeah, I've done I must have, I mean, literally hundreds and hundreds of published book covers at this point, and things kind of like you're always doing book cover adjacent stuff. So I've done book cover work, I've done concept art for films and video games. It's
Mhm.
all a lot of like I've done some of the most mundane things you wouldn't like ads for pharmaceutical companies. It's just part of being a commercial illustrator. You do a little bit of everything.
No, but that's really good. So, okay. So I know we already talked about, you're going back to the comics, you talked about you want to be like Jim Lee and draw. And I know you talked about, just whatever was um at the corner store, the comic books. Um, like what kind of comic books did you read while growing up? I'm of course the X-Men, Jim Lee.
And oh yeah, I was right in that prime time of like X-Men #1 relaunching. That was like my everything at that
Hmm.
moment. Image Comics launched. I was a big Rob Liefeld fan and stuff too.
Yeah.
But I feel like I got the heyday of that revival of comics in the 90s.
Hmm.
Um, Probably like my favorite was Dave McKean's Arkham Asylum with Grant Morrison.
Oh
Um,
yes. Hmm.
like that was like one of the first fully painted comics I had ever seen,
Yes.
and that just became my Bible throughout high school.
Oh, nice. Nice. Um, who's your favorite comic book artist?
Probably uh, Dave McKean. I'd say Jim Lee are pretty tight and up there. Um, but one of my biggest influences was just comic adjacent stuff. It was a trading card set, the Marvel
Okay.
Masters trading card set, the same one I got to work on. And Joe Jusko did that art, and he didn't do a lot of interior stuff. You might not call him a comic book artist so much as an illustrator, but
Mhm.
Joe Jusko's paintings for the 1992 Marvel Masterpiece set was probably the thing I aspired to the most.
Oh, that's pretty good. That is really nice. Now, you've mentioned that you've done, as a commercial artist, you know, um, you know, comic book cover artist, illustrator, you've been in the business for, about 20 years. Um, like, do you remember what was your very first professional job? And I'm not talking about like, doing portraits, trying to break into the business, like when you finally go, I'm in the business.
Yeah, I do think, I did portrait work for years, so I think those are legitimate in my industry. That getting in with that
Mhm.
even is still my first work and some of the best paying work, honestly.
Mhm.
But my first kind of mainstream commercial book cover was for Tor Books. It was a Tanith Lee book, and my career kind of snowballed from there. I was very specific about pursuing book cover work early on, and that was my first foot in the door was Tor Books.
That's nice. Now, I'm gonna say, how excited were you when you finally saw that? You saw that first tour book cover, and like, yes. Well, I mean, what were your
I,
feelings?
Still, honestly, I get just as giddy now. Still, I love seeing my work in print. I love ephemera. I love comics and books. I
Mhm.
love seeing my work be used on things.
Yes.
So when I get those promo copies or those tear sheets, I'm still just as giddy about it. Honestly, I think probably just as enthusiastic now as with that first one.
That's pretty cool. That is so cool. Okay, now um we're gonna start going into the Kickstarter. So now again, it's called The Marvel Art of Dan Dos Santos from Clover Press Art. Now, and Dan, please correct me on this. Now, this book will feature all of the, was it 135 cards from the 2022 Marvel Masterpiece, and some of your other works from some of the other cards from 2023 Marvel Masterpiece, and I think some unpublished artwork or process. I can't remember. Yeah.
Going to include everything I've ever done that's Marvel related. And the vast majority of that is I did a trading card set, that very same trading card set that inspired me to want to paint. I was fortunate enough to end up doing myself a few years back. And in total, I think I created like 140 oil
Hmm.
paintings for that, 135 which were included in the set.
Yes.
Actually, less. I think only 120 were included in the set. So this will include everything that was printed, plus some unseen stuff,
Hmm.
some other stuff that I've done for Marvel since then. So it'll be kind of a career spanning overview of my Marvel work, over 200 pages of it.
Oh, that's gonna be nice. Now, can you let listeners know, like, how did you how did you get this cool gig? When, like, how did this come about, doing the Marvel masterpieces? Like you said, this the thing you wanted to do, and how
Yeah,
did that come about?
I like to think I manifested it, Jason.
Yes,
Just-
yeah.
I mean, really, I am very singular minded in my goals and the things I love and approach. And book cover work was relentless. I did hundreds of book covers. I did a new book cover every 2 weeks for 20 plus years.
Hmm.
Um, and there was very little downtime. But in my spare time, I was doing Marvel superhero card samples, just because I was just doing them for me.
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
I wasn't like doing this as an actual sample to send somebody. But I think because I kind of put it out there when Upper Deck was looking for their next artist and started researching things, that they stumbled probably across some of my mock trading cards. And I think that's probably what informed their decision to hire me on that.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Um, now you've seen my process questions, and because I'm just curious, like, because like you said, for book covers, it takes you about 2 weeks to do one. But, like, what is your process in, um I'm just gonna jump for it, for these the Marvel cards, the trading cards, like, you know.
Process is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It's just sped up. Incredible.
Okay.
So I normally like 2 weeks to do a cover. That's a week of planning and a
Hmm.
week of painting. Usually, I spend about 50% of my time planning and sketching and
Yes.
getting
Hmm.
reference, and then a week executing about the same 50%. I just, for this Marvel set in particular, I was tasked with creating those 135 paintings. I only had a year and a half to do it. So it came out to a painting every 3 days.
Wow.
And the process didn't change. I just crammed it all into, I just worked incredibly long days. I basically crammed 40 hours of week, 40 hours of work into 3 days.
Yeah.
Still just kept my process. So day one was come up with an idea, like a
Hmm.
sketch,
Yeah.
figure out the idea I want to do, shoot reference for it,
Yes.
color studies of that, redraw my picture,
Uh-huh.
transfer that to the board, and all of that normally would be a week's work.
Yeah.
I would have to do that in a day. And
Yes.
then day two was paint all of the background, and day three was paint the figure, and then repeat and just do two of those a week. I had to do basically over and over and over.
So, like you said, it takes you about a day to come up with something to sketch and so forth. Um, because I know in one of your interviews, I think for, like, some of your projects, like, you use actual live models and you take pictures and so forth. But I mean, in a day, you can't just, hey, can you come in for 2 hours? Pose. It's like, no, so I'm just gonna ask, like, did you use those wooden artist mannequin? Did you have, like, and I'm not being sarcastic, but
I
did you
use
have, like, like some of the action figures and
Absolutely. I use everything.
okay.
The reference phase, I think a lot of people have this misconception that artists draw everything from their imagination.
Hmm.
And comic guys are really good at that. Like if you're doing interior work, just
Yeah.
because the demands of the job are so intense, you can't actually go get reference.
Yeah.
Though I think any artist you ever meet, comic or otherwise, would tell you your work is always better for having reference. Even if you
Hmm.
don't use it, get it. They just don't have the time. And so a lot of them do shortcuts like 3D or something like that instead of really getting photographs. I use it all.
Hmm.
If I have models that I'll call short notice, but
Hmm.
my reference phase for a piece is I already know what I need to draw. I
Hmm.
need to figure out how to draw Spider-Man doing this, pulling his mask on. How can
Yes.
I? I will mix a combination of things. I will hire a model.
Hmm.
I'll pose for myself. I'll use my Spider-Man action figure.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'll use 3D for the buildings in the background.
Yes.
And It's an amalgam of everything, and then redraw and pull a little bit from everything.
Mhm.
So maybe I use my action figure for the lighting.
Yes.
Maybe I use 3D for the perspective. I use me for the wrinkles in the shirt.
Hmm.
But I spend a lot of time gathering information.
That is pretty cool. And
And yes, those wooden mannequins, I
yeah.
do use those.
Oh, okay. No, no, yeah, it's just
Mine are pretty fancy. They're a little nicer and they bend a little better, but essentially they're the same thing.
okay. um, no, but thank you for sharing that because, like I said, but that's amazing that you have to do it all in one day, and it's just like,
Oh, ideally, you don't have to. That's
well, but
just a hard job. And if you were doing a cover piece, most artists would spend multiple days or a week doing
yeah.
it. That's the extreme case of most artistic scenarios.
Now, um, actually, I'm gonna kind of change up something up a little bit. Like that first day when you're trying to put everything together, do you try to create like a mini story behind, um, behind the painting? Like, okay, like Spider-Man pulling down his, I'm just using Spider-Man's pulling down his mask. Instead of just Spider-Man pulling down his mask, it's okay, what's Peter doing? Not only is he doing that, but Peter has to go out because he heard on the police scanner there is a bank robbery 2 blocks away from him, or he's pulling on his mask because he wants to go grab pizza and he doesn't want to go 20 blocks.
Always, there is always a story. I call myself an illustrator more than an
Yes.
artist, and I take that title pretty seriously. Illustration, by definition, is somebody who tells a story through picture. You
Okay.
illustrate. There's always a narrative, and so I think I try to, even if it's a very simple narrative,
Hmm.
I've always got some story going on in the piece, and I'm trying to use that story in the case of a lot of my Marvel work to tell you everything you need to know about this hero. That's my challenge is, can I tell you in one image? A normal comic artist has, 24 pages
Yes.
to tell
Hmm.
you something. I've got one image to tell you everything I want to tell you about that character.
Hmm.
And how can I do that? And so yeah, there's usually a story for me. Like in the case of that Spider-Man one you're citing as an example, I'm thinking, you know, this is the story of why Peter puts on his mask
Hmm.
every. That's what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man to me, is this deliberate choice to be Spider-Man, to
Hmm.
be a hero, to provide help. And what are his reasons for this? Well, it's the death of his uncle. It's Doc Ock looming in the background.
Hmm.
It's his love for Mary Jane, wanting to protect her, making sure something like Gwen Stacy never happens again.
Yes.
All of these things go into a grander story that spans just more than it's Spider-Man swinging,
Yeah. Yes.
Like superheroes are much more than that to me. I try to convey that whenever I can.
No, but thank you for sharing that. But that's so cool that, um because I've always tried to figure out, it's like, because like, the Joe Juiceco cards, and sometimes we'll look at it as like, oh, that's pretty cool, but we you know but it's always nice that, like for you, it's like you want to make sure that you have that story in mind, that there's an intent, and you want to capture it in one image,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And it's meant for the audience. A good
Yes.
storyteller does it not for themselves. They do it for the audience.
Hmm.
And hopefully when somebody looks at that piece, they feel like they stepped into a world a little bit. They start imagining something greater than the painting, greater than the moment, something they never thought about, like, oh yeah, of course that. Or they did this. Like
Hmm.
I want the viewer to expand on it in their minds, and anything I can do to facilitate that really.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Now, when Upper Deck, and then I know Marvel contacted you to do the masterpieces, correct? To
It's technically
or
Upper Deck. It's a
oh,
licensed property.
okay,
So
so it's Upper Deck. Did they give you any guidelines on, like, okay, make sure you have Fantastic Four in this one, make sure, or if you do Wolverine, make sure he's in the yellow and blue suit that everyone remembers him, during the Dark Phoenix saga. Don't do, you know.
yeah, there's always it's nothing but guidelines, Jason.
Okay.
There's so many rules you wouldn't believe. When it comes to licensed properties, they're very picky about about the way things are presented. More so than if you were just doing a cover for Marvel Comics. Those art directors,
Hmm.
they're they're on their game. They've been doing this for in some cases generations.
Yes.
When you deal with licensed property, the rules get a lot more restrictive. So one of the big things is like no guns pointing at the
Mm,
viewer,
yeah.
no real intense gore. And then the one that kind of was tough for me was you couldn't uh, really deface a hero. You couldn't show Spider-Man's costume all ripped up.
Mm, yeah.
That's a very common thing in the comics, and it's
Yes.
like a great way to to show that he's been in a battle. But for licensing purposes, of course, they don't want somebody defacing Captain America. They want him to look heroic. So
Yes.
there were quite a few of those restrictions. And things that I've got to do later on for other pieces that weren't part of that card set, I did get to show Spider-Man all messed up. I do get to show Wolverine with the arrows in him. I do
Hmm.
get to show Punisher toting all of his guns. So a lot of that is in this book, things that just weren't in some of those other cards that might have been printed.
Oh, see, so listeners, this is why you got to back this Kickstarter so you can catch all those, all those other neat paintings that Dan did. Oh,
Or
because
just revised. A lot of times it's like, oh, you showed too much cleavage or too much butt on
yeah,
Psylocke, or too much blood. And a lot of the things I've printed thus far had to be amended for pretty much a PG-13 rating.
yeah.
This
Oh,
this book is not the case. This book is the unadulterated paintings through all.
okay, that is so cool. Um, which character were you yeah, which character were you excited to paint or illustrate for this card set?
All of them, really. I'm a big X-Man fan, so I kind of loaded up this set with a lot of mutants.
Nice.
I think I was excited for everybody. I think some of the ones I was most excited for, I was also the most scared about because, like, how do you do Spider-Man? You've got one shot to
Hmm.
try the best Spider-Man painting ever that nobody's ever done. Is
Yeah.
a lot of pressure. I think maybe Storm was my like personal. Just I have a sweet spot for her. Whenever I don't know what to draw, I just kind of draw Storm. So a lot of the Storm cards were maybe my first go-tos.
That's so cool. All right. I talk about a little bit about the Kickstarter part, the details in the Kickstarter, like what was the fun thing that you love when you're working on on this card set?
Oh, I wouldn't say the job itself was really fun. Like it was truly the hardest job I've ever done.
Hmm.
Just, I mean, you can't beat the subject matter and what it's being used for. The fact that I got to illustrate the very cards that I collected as a kid,
Hmm.
get more fun than that. So really, I was geeking out the whole time that I was painting these. That it's just, it's I love superhero stuff. I
Hmm.
think superheroes, truly, as our modern Greek heroes, like
Yes.
they are our mythology of today.
Hmm.
And hopefully, like, yeah, just getting a chance to really like make some official artwork of my versions of these modern myths, that it doesn't get more fun than that.
Oh, that's so cool. This is an off the cuff question, and it's a funny question. I just want us to have a little fun. Upper Deck, did you kind of write to them, go, hey, I need about $500 because I need to buy more Marvel Legend action figures because there are three different Storm figures. One with the mohawk, the one where, you know,
No, they don't cover model expenses nowadays. They used to once
oh,
upon a time, but no, you'd be I for a very long time avoided buying sculptures and
yeah,
action figures because I knew it was a slippery slope. And oh
yes.
man, did I fall down that slope?
Oh,
I really did. I bought so many. Every time I had a character I could get an action figure for, I probably bought that action figure.
hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. But I,
I know your viewers are only listening, but there's a literal, let's see how much we get.
is
That
that,
is a stack of over there in the corner of probably 100 action figures just hanging around over there.
looks like I see that you have a Hulkbuster back there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that the Hasbro one?
Probably it's whatever one. It just came out a couple of years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, it's probably Marvel Legends.
oh God, because I've been Dan, I mean because most comic book collectors, we also collect action figures.
Oh yeah,
I think I don't know if you can no, you can't see behind me, but I
I
have
see.
like a couple action figures like the Sam Wilson's
Yeah, I see
from the
Wilson. Yeah,
the Stan I listeners I know, but the Stanley Marvel Legend action figure. I got a G.I. Joe action figure on my shelf here. I've got the couple of the Indiana Jones Adventure series. So it's like, yeah, man, it's like,
yeah. You wouldn't. My garage is like a comic shop. I literally have a closet of them still, like in boxes, waiting for the day I might need to paint Kingpin. And
yeah. That And that's what you tell your family, right? It's like, no, no, we're not throwing this away. You know?
if Alex Ross is very open about sharing his process online on his Instagram. If you ever seen Alex Ross's studio, it's insane, and he has figures. It's what he uses for reference. It's
Yeah,
why we keep it around. Is oh yeah, what does the back of Spider-Man's costume look like again? Oh,
yeah.
okay, it's a little action figure. He does the same thing. His collection is astounding.
I'm not sure. I think I saw a picture of it one time. I'm not sure. So I'm sorry, Dan. We're kind of going off track. I need to get us
That's
back on
okay.
track because
That's fun stuff.
I don't want to keep you too much, I don't want to take up too much for your time. But okay, let's talk about the Kickstarter. So Clover Press. So how did this come about?
This no joke. I approached Clover Press. I love the books they do, and the co-founder of Clover Press used to be the CEO of IDW.
Yeah.
Amongst artists and comic collectors, I think like the IDW books they were some of the best art books.
Hmm.
And I knew that if I wanted to do a book, I wanted it to be just as beautiful as I could make it. I didn't want just a tiny little thin
Yes.
paperback thing. So IDW is kind of defunct a little bit, and so I approached Clover Press, who I knew they went there, and created that imprint. And I just asked them. I said, "Hey, I have an awful ton of Marvel art. Would you like to do a book?" And they just jumped at it. So
That is so cool. That is
I'm
nice.
a firm believer in seeking out the things you want. So
But
yeah,
and it doesn't hurt to ask. That's
nope,
the thing, you know, because you can
no,
always be, and I'm not trying to be negative, but in case they say, oh, no, not this time, Dad, but at least you planted something with them, you
yep,
know.
absolutely. I I really I don't believe, and if this goes for a lot of the young artists out there. I think a lot of people just wait for opportunities to
Yeah.
prevent themselves rather than just making their own opportunities. This was certainly an instance of me making my own opportunity here.
Ah, but that is so cool. Um, Now I'm gonna ask you, like, what are some of the do you know what some of the reward the tier rewards, like if you guys hit a
Yeah,
certain
yeah. There's a lot of good swag in this. I'm actually really excited because, like I was saying, I love commercial work. I like
Hmm,
seeing my work be used as much as possible. Like
mhm.
given I take no shame in the idea of being a sellout. I love it. I want my work on t-shirts. I want my
Oh
work on
yes,
t-shirts.
yeah.
All of it.
It's
So we actually came up with a lot of swag for this Kickstarter that I'm
nice. Hmm.
stoked about. Um, we've got the regular edition of the book, which will just be kind of a beautiful hardcover book. Actually, there might even be paperback version, or at some point. But I think there's a hardcover version of the book. It's probably case wrap, and then hardcover with a dust jacket that gives an alternate cover, and then hardcover with dust jacket and slipcase.
Hmm.
And that one has some of the best covers on it. We're doing two different portfolios, a collection of 12 large art prints. One is all Spider-Man stuff,
Hmm.
and one is all the X-Babes, like X-Women.
Yeah.
Uh, and then there's what this one was on me because I just wanted it so bad. But there used to be these classic vending machine style hologram stickers back in the 90s for the old trading card sets.
Hmm.
We're doing a vintage style hologram sticker on a lot of these paintings that appear in the book.
Hmm.
And then a couple other things. I think there's some mini prints, there's a puzzle, there's probably the big items is there's going to be 10 original sketch cards in there, black and white paintings of superheroes that
Yes.
I'm hand painting,
Hmm.
and that'll be limited to 10 of those, I believe.
Hmm. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And then all this, like, if even if you don't get in on the Kickstarter, this will eventually be released. Like, you can get it at your local comic book shop or your
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble store. You
Yes.
just miss out on all the fun swag. So
Yeah. Okay. Oh, but okay. Um, I'm gonna slowly start wrapping things up. Let's start. I'm gonna ask you some fun questions. Um, as you mentioned, you've done a lot of book covers. Is there a particular art author that you're waiting to get a call from? I know you talk about, no, I don't wait, and rather, but you kind of know it's like, there's some I can't push,
I, that's it. I've been really fortunate. I've been doing it long enough that I think I've done in my genre in science fiction fantasy. I mean, I've done Sanderson, Briggs, I've done Robert Jordan, Patrick Rothfuss, Jim Butcher.
Mhm.
There's really like nobody left that I'm really dying to do
Mhm.
that would be able to give me a call. I think some of the classics, the ones that I really want to get my hands on, are things like I want to do Frank Herbert's Dune. I would love to do Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. That
Oh,
like some of those really old fundamental fantasy
yes.
novels. That's where it's at for me. That would be really fun.
Oh, that'll be nice. I would love to see your Dune cover if they ever call you.
It's my favorite book of all time. And I know there's Brian Herbert, his son is picking up the series, but I want to do classic. I want to
Yeah.
do the first three books.
So, Brian, if you're listening and you go, hey, maybe I should check this guy Dan out. Hey, Dan, you want to do some of my covers? And you'd be like, hey, yeah, but can I do, but let me put
Brian's
this.
an amazing cover artist. He's in good hands. But the company that publishes or has the rights to the Dune book, they know. The art directors know. I've put it out there many times.
Hey, man, isn't this the 50th anniversary of Dune? And are you guys going to re-release it? And do you need?
I
I,
letting them know I'm an Uber fan. It's how I got the that Serenity cover run. Is I just I had said something dumb in a conversation like shiny or
uh,
something, and the guy was like, "Oh, are you a brown coat?" I was like, "Oh, I am a diehard brown coat." And he's like, "Oh, I probably have a good job for you."
oh, that.
Just putting it out there, letting people know that like I do that quite often. Like this is my dream job. By the way, just so you
Yeah,
know, if it ever comes across your desk, call please.
no, but yeah, but the thing is, but that's good that you're doing it. You're letting them know because sometimes it's like, you know, some of these like bosses or managers, they really don't know until you tell, you kind of ask or you kind of let them know. Because then it's like they don't want years from now. It's like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. Did you? If I had known, I would have called you, right? Then it's like,
Yeah, you gotta put it out there.
yeah. All right. I know you've worked on DC, some of the DC covers like Fables, and I know in one of your interviews you said anyway. So, what character would you like to paint for DC? What's one of your favorite DC characters, basically?
Probably Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a couple ideas, and I think she was my first, like when I was making time for myself to paint some superhero stuff in between the other gigs. I think Wonder Woman was maybe the first thing I went to. It'd probably still be Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, or some type of Amazon, but yeah, I'm gonna go with her. And I've
Okay,
seen some really good renditions of her too, so I feel like I could do a lot of cool stuff with her.
that's nice. Okay, so since you mentioned that Storm is one of your favorite Marvel characters, excuse me, you would like to paint Wonder Woman. This is going to be a fun question because also, if we got to think about back in when the Marvel versus DC, they did that amalgamate of Wonder Woman and Storm.
Mhm.
2027. It's a fun question. 2027. Tom Brevoort, Jim Lee, they're having lunch and they're going, we need to kind of like boost sales and we should do something like remember that Grant Morrison, David McKean painted book and stuff like that, and they're going to go, yeah, and we should have like we should do another cross company event, like who can we get? Storm and Wonder. Yeah, that'll be great. Who should paint the interiors? I know this guy named Dan. If you get a call, say, hey, you want to do a hardcover book, inside, illustration, painting.
If it happens, I'll give you your cut, Jason.
Come on, let's just put it out there. Come on.
I would do a Wonder Woman Storm crossover. That'd be great.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. Um, now, okay. What was one of your favorite comic book convention or comic festival moment?
Ooh, that's kind of hard. I do quite a few cons, especially this year. I've been doing a lot of conventions. Conventions are exhausting for artists. Like
Mhm.
everybody has fun at a convention except the people working the convention.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just so much work. But I think probably one of the highlights for me was I used to do San Diego Comic Con quite a bit. And I had heard a rumor that Mobius was there signing.
Hmm.
And I mean, like at San Diego, you can't just leave your booth at San Diego. You'll come back to a totally robbed, clean,
Hmm.
bare table
Yeah.
if you leave
Yeah.
your booth. And I heard that Mobius was signing at the Marvel booth. And so I just left. I abandoned my booth and ran to the other side of the hall. And there was this massive line,
Hmm.
massive. I'm talking going around the booth, like it must have been 300 people long, and I thought, shit, well, I can't wait there, but sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
swear.
no, you can swear. Don't worry.
Let me okay, let me go see Mobius's face. I start to follow this line up, and the line ends up being for Tim Bradstreet, and and then there to the left of him is Mobius
Yes.
with nobody in front of Mobius, and Mobius might be my favorite comic book artist of
Yes.
all
Hmm.
time, maybe my favorite artist, period. And I just walked right up to him. There was nobody there, and I think maybe because he had stopped signing, and I just walked up and I was like, Jean, I am a big fan. I just introduced myself, shook his hand, said I loved his work, and he was like, thank you very much. I need to go. And he did. He just left.
Yeah.
And that was the only time I've ever got to see him before his passing. And I thought it was maybe 5 seconds tops, and I treasure those 5 seconds.
Oh, yes. Now I have to ask you about this, and because in your interview you have an original artwork from Mobius. Are would you like to explain, or what is it, or how did you get it?
I only have a little sketch of Mobius, and that was a gift. I'm an avid art collector. I do own a lot of original art, and I have a lot of signed Mobius lithographs and
Hmm.
serigraphs. But as far as original stuff of his, I have like two doodles, one of them in color, and that was just given to me by somebody who got it ages ago, and they knew I'm such a fan. I don't think I'll ever be able to have quite the pockets it would take to get really the Mobius pieces originals that I want.
I mean, I understand, but that's so cool that you got the sketch, at least something, done by him.
Something I truly think he's one of the most remarkable artists of our generation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, what is your comic book convention schedule for 2026?
Ooh, a little up in the air. I think a lot of it depends on the release of this book when it actually hits stands. So I may do more cons than usual, but I know I'm definitely doing OAX in Orlando very soon in February, which
Hmm.
is just specifically geared towards original comic art. And that is a killer con, small and mighty.
Uh-huh.
It is. It's. I've never seen so many like beautiful originals, Frank Miller originals, and like iconic pieces
Hmm.
as I did at this show for such a small curated attendance. It's a powerhouse of a con. So that one's in February. I do Dragon Con every
Yes.
year in
Yes.
Atlanta, more around Labor Day. Um, I will probably be doing Dragon Steel again next year. That will be at the end of 2026. I will most likely do New York Comic Con in October.
Hmm.
And I a few that are up in the air. I may be doing a fantasy festival in Denmark for people in Europe and stuff like that. I can't quite nail down the other ones off the top of my head, but those are
Oh,
all certain.
oh, okay. All right. No, but thank you very much. All right. Two more questions. Have you and your family been to Hawaii?
I have not. We were just talking about that not too long ago. What a shame. We
No,
were looking
no.
at a globe and being like, look at how in the middle of nowhere
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii is. Like it is absolutely a destination. But no, I have yet to be there, to go there.
Oh, okay. All right. Um, any closing words to our listeners?
Just thank you. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your interest. If any of you do pick up the book, I really hope you enjoy it. It's my life's passion in that book.
All right. Dan, mahalo. Thank you in Hawaiian. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to interview you. I wish you all the success, with this Kickstarter campaign. Now, listeners, if you are a new comic book reader or a lifelong comic book reader, um, please check out the Marvel art of Dan Dos Santos. This is a Kickstarter from Clover Press and it launches on January 8th, 2026. Again, like I said, if you have some of that Christmas money um, that you got as a gift, hey, it's the perfect time to pick up this amazing book that Dan has spoke about because I'm going. Yeah, it's yeah. Now, also too, if you are a parent or if you're, a relative who knows someone, a child who loves comics and has a passion for art, please consider giving this book to your child. It may inspire them to be a future artist. Like Dan said, the Joe Jusko trading cards back in the 90s, that, that inspired him to become, an illustrator and a painter. So I would just say, just please consider that. Um,
It's one of my favorite things about this book is those cards I did have become such collector items that very few children get to collect them. I feel like this book is the opportunity for me to get more of this work into the hands of younger people.
and the other thing too about the book too is that it has it has now correct me if I'm wrong. It has it has all the illustrations from the card set, and also some never before seen artwork. So again, because and then you can say this too is that like when we're growing up trying to collect these cards, it's like we can't collect the whole set, right? It's either we'll
Yeah.
buy 5 packs and we got like, you know, three in those 3 packs is like we get like 3 cards of the same, Mr. Fantastic, and
This is all of them. Plus, it's just way bigger, and it's way nicer to look at art 12 inches tall than 3 inches tall. You know.
that's true. No, you're right. That is true. Um, I want to thank Drew, the host of Comics for Fun and Profit, for putting this episode together. Drew, thank you very much for all your hard work behind the scenes. And also, I want to thank Hannah again, Hannah Behedria at Superfan Promotions. Hannah, thank you very much for asking us to do this, to interview Dan, and thank you very much for all your hard work behind the scenes. Now, if you are a new listener, please check out new episodes of Comics for Fun and Profit that comes out every Saturday. And I want to thank you, the listener. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to this episode. Until next time, guys, aloha.
Aloha, guys.